Welcome into another edition of Friar Territory here on the Foul Territory Network. I'm Kyle Glaser. The Padres were swept by the last place Baltimore Orioles at home. They lost Jason Adam to a ruptured quad tendon. Overall, they have lost 8 of their last 10. Heath, it's not great right now.
No, it's not. It's, the Dodgers haven't been playing good. They've been playing 500, so it's not as bad as it could have been. But, it looks like if the Dodgers win, they might be, 3 back instead of 2 or 2.5. So it's frustrating because the Padres have been playing so well to get in this position, and it's almost like they're afraid to take over first place.
Yeah, the Padres moved into first place over the Dodgers for a second time back in late August. Since that day that they took first place back in the National League West, they are 2-8. And we have seen over and over and over again, they are failing to beat teams they should beat. They went to Seattle, lost to a Mariners team that is in playoff contention, but the Mariners had lost 8 of 11 going into that series. They then lost a series to the Minnesota Twins, who sold off at the deadline, trading 10 players from their Major League roster. They had lost 13 of 18 going into that series. And then the last place Orioles come into town, and the Padres get swept. So not only are they losing games, they're losing games to teams that they should be beating and need to be beating. When you look at this team right now, you've experienced this where you've been in funks, just nothing seems to be going well. And on top of the losses, just in the last week alone, they've lost Xander Bogaerts and Jason Adam. How do you snap out of this mentally?
This is where you really need an ace to step up, like Yu Darvish to step up and just, go 7 innings and tear it up, or, somebody, Nick, somebody needs to do it. Really, everybody could say, well, the pitchers haven't been pitching, really the offense hasn't been hitting, but like today, they lost 5-7. So it made it close towards the end, but, what I see is the last 10 days, the pitchers, it's almost like, when you're a closer and the game's on the line, you got to bear down, you got to hit your spots, you got to throw where you need to throw. And when they always ask, why do closers not do well when they, come in and it's, losing game, just hasn't pitched in 2 weeks or something like that. It's almost like you're going through the motions and you're like, oh, I can get this guy out, but you're not bearing down, you're not hitting your spots. Really, and that's what it boils down to. The last 10 days, I've really seen the pitchers, especially the starters, not hit their spots. The pitch has been up, or the catcher wants it in and he throws it away, or the catcher wants it away and throws it in. And if you hit like the guy behind me, Greg Maddux, and that's kind of the reason I had him behind me, is because he was all about location, location, location. And right now it seems like the last week and a half, Padres don't have location, have not hit their spots. And maybe, like 60% of the time they're hitting their spots, but really when you're trying to get somebody out or 2 strikes, or behind in the count, the hitters are really comfortable right now, especially, the teams that they're playing, they got nothing to lose. So, and we have everything to lose.
No question about it. The starting pitching has been the root of the Padres' problems during this 2-8 stretch. The Padres have had a starting pitcher complete 5 innings just once in their last 9 games. During these 9 games, the Padres starters have a 7.52 ERA. They are averaging 3 1/3 innings per start, not even averaging 4 innings per start. There's no way around it. This has been a horrendous week and a half for Padres starting pitchers. I want to go one by one with the guys that the Padres really need to step up, because you're right. At the end of the day, it comes down to frontline pitchers pitching like frontline pitchers. And right now, too many of them are not doing so. I want to start with Dylan Cease. We saw him struggle yet again against the Orioles in his start. Over his last 4 outings, Dylan Cease has combined to throw 16 2/3 innings. He has a 7.02 ERA. Really was inconsistent all season long, had 2 really good starts after the trade deadline. You thought, okay, maybe he's finding it again. He's relaxed. He knows where he's going to be. We're going to see the Cy Young candidate, Dylan Cease, that we've seen before. Instead, his last 4 starts, all of his previous problems have resurfaced. What are you seeing from Dylan Cease specifically?
I just feel like he's going back to what he's pitched all season. He got back into the mojo of I hate to say it. I feel like he's trying to strike people out, and he's trying to get people out where it's instead of like, hey, I'm just trying to throw 3 or less pitches to every pitcher. He's trying to strike him out and do everything himself and throw these, nasty pitches where, he's not, people are not swinging at him, the swing and miss pitches. So it's, for him, he has to, it's a mental game with, I think, Dylan Cease, and whatever he was doing right after the All-Star break, maybe it was just, I got some better rest, less throwing in between, less, there's certain times that I knew starters wouldn't throw their bullpen in between starts because they were like, I feel like I'm working too hard. I just need to keep it simple. And they're just like, I'd rather just play catch and not do the bullpen in between and then go out there. Maybe that he should try that or something like that. Try something that he hasn't tried, because whatever he's trying right now is not working.
What's really standing out about Dylan Cease is he just has no fastball command. And we can talk as much as we want about guys blowing gas, having disgusting sliders, but if you cannot command your fastball, you're not going to be successful. That's true at any level of baseball, majors, minors, college, high school.
You have to establish your fastball and throw everything off it. That's where I just think he's trying to get everybody out, because you're afraid to throw your fastball.
Well, so that's the main thing, is that's the fix that needs to happen. Dylan Cease needs to reestablish his fastball command. Look, every pitcher goes through this at times where for whatever reason they just can't find the strike zone. What is a physical problem becomes mental. How do you snap out of this? What do you want Dylan Cease to do? What would you like to see him do to snap out of it and reestablish his fastball command? What would be the optimal process to do so? Because that's priority number one.
If I had a kid right now, or if I was the coach, this is exactly what I would do. If I was the pitching coach, I'd have Dylan Cease, when he's playing catch, I'd stand right next to the guy he's playing catch, and I'd have another coach stand on the other side, like I'm righty and he's lefty, and we're just standing there. He's got to throw it in between us and hit the, throwing partners right in the chest or wherever he's aiming for, and do that. And then when he's throwing his side, his bullpen, same thing. It's basically, you have to practice the way you pitch in a game, and it's that I got to concentrate, or you're going to see that as soon as because I'm pretty sure when he's playing catch, he's hitting the guy in the chest. When he's throwing bullpens, he's hitting the guy in the chest. He's doing everything right, but when a game comes on, all the pressure isn't working. He's overdoing it. What's probably happening is he's afraid to throw his fastball because he's been tattooed and give up a lot of hits.
Well, it's either 3 inches outside the strike zone or it's right down the middle and getting tattooed.
So my point is, you're just trying to mentally, you're kind of lost, where I feel like I can't throw it on the corner because I pull it or I tug it. Yeah. And then you're just like, okay, let me just throw a fastball over the middle, try to keep it down. And then it goes right down the middle. So that's where you got to bring that competition. You got to bring that I'm saying competition. It's concentration. There you go. When he's playing catch, when they're just playing catch, long toss, short toss, it don't matter. Stand next to the guy playing catch and make him concentrate more when it's nice and easy. And then when the game starts, it'll be easy because he's been concentrating all day long.
Again, we're seeing him fall behind hitters consistently. We're seeing a lot of deep counts. That's how you get to these 90 pitches through 4 innings type of outings. And he's not providing any length. He's not providing any consistency. And it all starts.
Could be a lot of pressure, free agency, this and that, trying to get a contract, blah, blah, blah. You never know. There might be home issues, so much going on. And then you go out there and try to put it on the mound. So there's a lot. I think he can turn it around. Somebody has to do something with him.
And to his credit, Dylan Cease has been completely accountable in the clubhouse. He's owned it. He has not made excuses. He has not tried to say, oh, it's not really a problem, when there actually is a very big problem. He has owned it. He's been accountable. Now it's just about fixing it. And that leads me into Yu Darvish, who's had a very different problem. We talk about Dylan Cease. His issue has been no fastball command, falling behind hitters, long count, long at-bats, deep counts. It's just not working. Yu Darvish is getting ahead of hitters, but he's not finishing them. And we've seen that really consistently over his last 4 starts. He has a 6-point ERA over his last 4 outings, 18 innings pitched, so averaging just over 4 innings per start. Going back to that Dodgers game in Los Angeles, where he served up home runs on 0-2 counts to both Freddie Freeman and Andy Pages, we're consistently seeing him struggle to put hitters away. Once again, his start against the Orioles, he got ahead of Jeremiah Jackson 0-2, gave up a home run, got ahead 0-2 later in the inning, hit a batter. Emmanuel Rivera's big RBI single that kind of blew the game open. Darvish was ahead of him 1-2. Rivera fouled off a bunch of pitches, eventually worked the count even and got his single. So we're seeing Yu Darvish get ahead of hitters, but he's not finishing them. When you see a pitcher struggling to do that, what does that tell you, and what is the fix?
What it tells me, there's two things. Yu Darvish has like 6 or 7 pitches, and when guys don't put guys away when they have that many pitches, it's almost like their split or their slider, of not curveball or whatnot. Oh, he can't hit my slider. Well, your slider's dog today. It's not very good. It sucks. But they still think it's good. This and that. Where hitters are just like, I'm just sometimes it's hard. With a hitter, hitters have said if a pitcher has 2 good pitches, it's hard to do it, especially if they look the same. And when a guy has 5 or 6 pitches, when he's on, everybody's on. It's really hard to hit. But most of the time, those are the easy ones because you're just waiting for that one pitch, because usually 90% of the time they're not on, or one of the pitches isn't that good, and they just tattoo that pitch. And that's my one thing with Darvish missing the spring training. In the last couple outings, before the last couple, I guess his first couple outings, it was almost like he's building up. He's doing this. Had some good ones, but you kind of go through that spring training struggle a little bit, and that's kind of where he's at. Or this would be like opening day or the first week where you're kind of like, okay, I'm trying to find all the pitches, and really, I think he just needs to stick to like 3 pitches, maybe 4, and go with that.
Yeah, we'll see if consolidating the pitch mix helps, because again, and you're right, it's been a lot of breaking balls. We saw Jeremiah Jackson get a breaking ball that got too much to the plate. He was able to drive that out. The Andy Pages home run was a breaking ball. So there's no question. If the Padres are going to go where they want to go, which is deep into the postseason, they need Dylan Cease and Yu Darvish to pitch like these standout pitchers they have been for years and years and years and years. And at the end of the day, if they don't, look, it's not a winning formula to have your pitchers consistently failing to get through 5 innings. And I want to wrap up with Nestor Cortes today. Cortez has struggled in a lot of outings recently. This was probably his worst one. Gave up a leadoff home run to Jackson Holliday, then gave up back-to-back-to-back home runs later in his outing. 2 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, 4 home runs allowed. He's not a guy who has great stuff. He needs to command. He needs to mix his pitches. He was obviously getting way too much to the plate today, was not locating. When you watch Nestor Cortes today, and just in general, since he's come over to the Padres at the trade deadline, what are you seeing?
Cortez is a good pitcher when he hits his spots. For some reason, I don't know if he's just trying to throw it too hard or whatnot, but if he could just hit his spots, he's a good pitcher. You're not going to overpower anybody. But there were so many times the catcher, set up in and it was away, or set up away and it was in, or it was up. I mean, it was frustrating because he'd throw like 1 or 2 right there.
Yep.
And then the next 2 were just totally misses, like big time misses. It's almost like not saying, I mean, he's trying and not saying he was closing his eyes, but it's kind of that point of where, like, I remember Greg Maddux, he would close his eyes and still hit the same spot. But he knew when he was a Padre, he only was throwing like 81, 82 miles an hour, maybe 84. But he's always
wasn't that bad. He still got to like 88, 89. But yes, it was.
Well, no, for mid-season, and I asked him, how's your arm, this and that. And he said, it's all about just hitting spots and mixing up the speed. That's all it is.
Yeah.
If you keep the ball down and just mix up the speed and keep the ball down and hit your catcher's glove, you're going to win. And that's what Cortez needs to do. That's what he needs to do every outing. That's what he did when he faced the Dodgers. When he came up and the first game against the Dodgers, he dominated because he hit his spots.
Yep.
And today,
perfect game into the 6th.
It was worse. I mean, I was like, last game, I was like, okay, maybe got a little anxious, whatnot. This game, it was really bad. He just did not hit his spots at all.
Yeah, again, he had that great outing against the Dodgers, taking a perfect game into the 6th. Outside of that, it has been ugly. He has not been effective for the Padres in his 6 starts with them overall. Heath, there's a lot more to talk about with this team. I do think your point about not hitting your spots, that's something Mike Schilt talked about post-game. They need to do a better job commanding the inner part of the plate. They are not commanding the ball inside. And that, of course, opens up a lot of things for hitters. There's a lot going on here. You're seeing bad command. You're seeing pitchers not finishing hitters. As a group, Do you think they need a team meeting? Do you think it's more of something they have to work on individually? How would you approach this from a staff-wide perspective, not just an individual perspective when you talk about the starting rotation?
The pitching staff?
Yeah, just this rotation.
I would get the pitching staff together
Yeah.
and play a game with them. A game of throwing a ball in a bucket or something like that, and have different buckets and different cones. And, if you didn't hit the cone, you had to run or something like that. They start making it fun where they're not over, because I'm pretty sure the guys are concentrating. They have all this pressure. Hey, I know we've all pitched bad. Hey, I got to pick it up. And then I do too much. And then I don't have a good game. The next guy trying to do it and pick it up. I think there's just too much going on where they just need to go back to the basics and, hey, let's just have fun again. And that's what they were doing a month ago. And I know it's easy to, when you're winning, to have fun, but really everything based on that. So as a pitching coach, they just need to get together and have a little bit of fun. I just think they're putting too much pressure on themselves. I think whoever the next step is going to be all about, okay, I got to do it. I got to stop this. I got to stop this.
Yeah.
But right now we just don't have one person that's stepping up and doing that. So get them together. They're going on the road. So have a team dinner, have something, get them together and have some fun, joke around a little bit. Or maybe the bullpen needs to be in charge and tell the starters what to do. So, even I know the bullpen had a bullpen day and we lost that one, but it's just.
Yeah, Nestor Cortez has failed to complete 5 innings in 4 of his 6 starts since becoming a Padre. And again, the bullpen did a nice job today, completing the final 6 2/3, giving up only 1 hit and 1 run in those final 6 2/3. So the bullpen did its job, but once again, it was too late as the Padres fell behind 7-0. Late rally fell short, and here they are being swept by the last place Baltimore Orioles. Heath, we've talked in depth about the pitching. We also need to talk about the offense and their struggles. We're going to take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsors, and dive into that. NFL fans, Week 1 is your shot to play free and stack $1 million cash bag with DraftKings Pick 6, an official partner of the NFL. Here's how. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, DraftKings' easiest way to play fantasy. Enter for free and pick more or less on 6 player stats for Week 1. Hit all 6 picks and you'll be splitting a bag that's already at $1 million or more. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, use code FOUL, opt in for free, and start stacking entries for NFL Week 1. Zero cost, huge upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. Must claim token for free entry in bag builder contests. Only perfect entries earn share of cash prize. Tokens are single use and expire September 8th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. All right, Heath, we talked in depth about the Padres starting pitching issues. The offense has also not been playing particularly well. The Padres scored 10 runs in 3 games against the Orioles at home. The Orioles are 25th in the majors in ERA, and the Padres averaged barely 3 runs per game against them. 5 of those runs came today after they were already down 7-0. So on the one hand, certainly give them credit for coming back, still fighting, putting forth, a good effort to get themselves back into the game. But when you only score 10 runs in 3 games against one of the 5 or 6 worst pitching staffs in baseball, and half of those runs come when the game is more or less out of reach, it's not a good performance. What are you seeing from this offense right now? Because you talk about the Padres need their starting pitchers, their key starting pitchers, to step up and really carry this team a little bit. The same could be said for some of their top offensive performers.
Well, Machado and Tatis haven't been hitting the ball. I mean, here's the thing. You lose Bogarts that's slowly been, kind of hitting the ball and kind of motivating everybody. Yeah. I will say there's one knock that I will say, when Machado's, grounding out, I know he's struggling. He did hit a home run today. And
yeah.
He's kind of like, not running hard to first base, because here's the thing. When you're not hitting well, you're always trying to do something to help the team out. And I know baseball, it's a little bit hard. It's like, well, Machado's not going to bunt or slap or, hit and run and stuff like that. But maybe you can hustle because like Jackson Merrill's been back. He's been hitting ground balls. He hasn't been like getting a bunch of hits, but he's busting his butt down to first base. He's like, well, if somebody slips up, I'm going to make it close. I'm going to make them hurry, rush. I feel like Machado could do that just to kind of like boost everybody's, morale or this and that, or, Tatis a little bit, but I will say I'm not picking on Machado or Tatis and anybody, but I will say hitters have a hard time hitting when you're behind. When pitchers don't, your starter doesn't get through 5, giving up runs, it's really hard to score in the first inning. Everybody wants to score in the first inning, but when your pitchers are giving up a couple runs in the first two innings or 3 innings, and then your offense is like, oh, here we go. We really need to score. They're overdoing stuff. They're not just playing their game, have their approach up to bat. It's almost like, I got to hit this. I got to hit, home run or this and that. I just think go back to the basics, fundamental, base hit, try to get the ball the other way. And then when we start scoring some runs and we start getting a lead, then go ahead and swing hard for the fences and stuff like that. So I just, I know we're all talking pitchers the last 10 days, but the offense really hasn't done much in the last 10 days either.
Yeah, they had a big game against the Twins. Their one win there, they won 12-3. But for the most part, you're right. This offense has not been.
You take that game away and this 5 runs, it's horrible.
Yeah. They were able to get a 5-0 lead on the Mariners in the middle game of that series, and then Dylan Cease wasn't able to hold it. They fell behind. The offense was able to come back and help the team win. But look, yes, overall, this offense has not been particularly effective. And you go back to August 1st, I will say again, good sign, Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr., both homered today. And just to put that in perspective, they each now have as many homers in September as they did the entire month of August. Machado and Tatis homered once each the entire month of August. And overall, it was just not a productive month, including these last few games. So from August 1st to present, Manny Machado is hitting 217 with a 590 OPS. Fernando Tatis Jr. is hitting 235. He's getting on base, 362 on base percentage, but 365 slugging percentage. They're not getting the production they need from their best players. Jackson Merrill, of course, missed time with his ankle injury. That's been bothering him. So you give him a little bit of a pass. But again, 235 batting average, 290 on base percentage. These are your players that you're really, really counting on. And then you even go down to Luis Ariz, 250 with a 272 on base percentage. He had that very, very, very bad strikeout in the middle game of the series. Padres have 1 out, bases loaded. The one thing you cannot do there is strike out. Instead, on a full count, he goes fishing below the zone for a rare strikeout, and Manny grounds out. The Padres get nothing out of it. Too many.
That literally shows me that they're trying to do too much.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Again, it's one thing for one of your key guys to be struggling, but those are 4 guys that the Padres need to get going. I mean, realistically, when everyone's healthy and right, those are 4 of your top 5 hitters in your lineup. And if they're all struggling at the same time, it's not going to help your offense in any way, shape, or form. You have to get some production out of the top half of your lineup. And it's so funny we're saying this. It's a complete opposite problem of what they had for most of the year.
But here's the good part is I'm all about streaks and getting, streaks going. If they can go on this road trip and kind of get some momentum and they come home and start playing well like they have been in the past. I mean, they play great at home and, so on the road. But my point is, if they can start kind of getting it the next, 7 to 10 days, it's a perfect time to really start getting hot. Yeah. They just need to start doing it sooner than later. They're probably, I'm not going to guarantee they're getting to the playoffs, but it's one of those things that I still feel like they're going to get hot and really, win the division. I really have a funny feeling that that's going to happen. But they need to start swinging the bat and having their plan. And they're just, they're better than these teams. But the one thing I worry about is these teams, their World Series right now is to knock off the Padres, out of the playoffs. They would be tickled pink like the Orioles right now. It's like, yeah, we can do it next year. We had a horrible year this year, but we're building for next year. All those teams, and that's the thing. So it's Padres just need to do something.
Again, when you're not getting 5 innings, you're not even getting 4 innings from your starting pitchers, and 4 of your top 5 hitters are all hitting under 250 and struggling to get on base, it's not a formula for success. And realistically, right now we can talk as much as we want about roster construction, all these things. It just comes down to players executing. And look, the bullpen, despite the fact that they are consistently being taxed, again, the B bullpen has not always been great. Wandy Peralta's given up some runs, Yuki Matsui, but for the most part, the bullpen is still doing its job, giving the Padres a chance. They are now shorthanded. Jason Adams suffered a horrible, horrible injury on Monday night, ruptured a quad tendon. And again, this is someone who has been through the ringer throughout his career, had 4 elbow surgeries, still fought back from those to reach the major leagues, had a horrible dislocated ankle where the bone broke through the skin in 2021 with the Cubs. And now this. Again, one of the best relief pitchers in baseball, one of the best people in baseball, and a clubhouse leader. On Monday night after that injury, again, the Padres clubhouse was extremely somber. Heath, this is a huge loss on the field, but when you see one of your key guys and really one of your clubhouse favorites go down like that, how do you want to see a team respond and can put it in perspective? Because you've lived this. You've had plenty of guys, plenty of teammates who you know and love and are key to your team go down. How do you bounce back from that?
You gotta have somebody, come up in the clubhouse and speak up, kind of step up and joke around. It's all about, being loose in the clubhouse and joking around and having a good time, but also be serious when it's time to be serious. And sometimes you just need to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. And, if Adams can come back, not probably pitch, but if he can just come back in the clubhouse and joke around with the guys, then probably the spirit will be there. And hopefully the Padres, if he's capable of, he's probably not capable of going this road trip, but to come back and be with the team and motivate the team, I think the team will rally around him. And, they like I said, they just need to let loose. I feel like there's too much pressure on them right now, and they just need to take a step back, joke around, put a party hat on or something. Maybe the Padres need to do a TikTok or something like that and just joke around and have some fun. And then go out there and just play the game they love and play the game that they can beat other teams. I mean, if they just go out and play their game, they're going to win, probably 90% of the time. Right now, I feel like they're trying to do too much.
One aspect that has been discussed and is a somewhat far-fetched possibility is Jackson Merrill going to shortstop. And the reason that this is even a conversation is because this Padres offense, as we have talked about all year long, lacks thump and needs as many impact bats in the lineup as they can get. And that means having Gavin Sheets, Ryan O'Hearn, and Luis Arias all in the lineup every single day. The only defensive alignment that makes that possible is if Jackson Merrill's at shortstop. Now, normally you'd say there's no chance of this. He hasn't played the position in 2 years. He's never played it in the major leagues. He's coming off an ankle injury. And that's all very, very fair and realistic. And 99.9% of the time, I'd say, yeah, absolutely. That said, the reason that this is being talked about is because Jackson Merrill has already shown an incredible ability to adapt on the fly, having never played center field in the major leagues before, having never played center field professionally before, and then doing so in the major leagues, doing it well while also performing offensively. That is outlier level ability to adapt. So going back to his natural position that he's played his whole life, if he can go out and play center field, having never done that in the major leagues before in his life, it's not that far-fetched to say he could go back to his natural position, which he was very, very good at, and stand in there at minimum as an average or okay defender. First and foremost, you need to make sure his ankle is healthy. You need to see if he doesn't have, need to make sure he's not too rusty. You don't just put him in the starting lineup. The Padres need to put him through some infield work to make this happen. Where are you on that in terms of should the Padres explore this, just given they need all the offensive thump they can get, and this is the alignment that helps them do that?
Hey, sometimes you got to do some crazy things. And am I for it? I'm for it if he goes out and fields some ground balls and just just make the routine plays. That's all we need. I mean, heck, the Dodgers do it with Mookie Betts. I know it was the beginning of the year, but it's one of those things that I think Jackson Merrill could do it. Or you put, Jake Cronenworth or somebody. I mean, half the team is shortstop. Or put Machado at short. He's been, short of I know he hasn't really played short a whole lot.
It's been a while.
But my point is, whoever plays short, you just need them to make the routine plays and hopefully get the best offense out there.
And again, with Jackson Merrill, first things first, you have to talk to him about it. And then you have to put him through some pregame work in the infield. And look, if you go out there and it's very, very clear there's too much rust to knock off, you scrap it. If it's very, very clear that his ankle is not 100%, you scrap it. If it's very, very clear he's just not moving well enough, you scrap it. But the Padres do need to at least explore this possibility because they need to put their best offense on the field. And this is the way they do that. In terms of Jake Cronenworth, interestingly enough, Jake Cronenworth filled in at shortstop on Tuesday against the Orioles. But prior to that, he hadn't played shortstop in the major leagues in any capacity since 2022. So Jackson Merrill has actually played shortstop more recently than Jake Cronenworth has. So that's why I favor that alignment. The other aspect,
if he's healthy, stick him out there. I would stick him out there, not in the starting. If I don't want to say that they're down, 7-0, last 3 or 4 innings, hey, go out there. Or if you're up big, hey, let's go to short for the last 3 innings. Let's see how you do, or, a couple innings here and there, and then, stick them back in the outfield if you need somebody, and then stick somebody at short. So you can move guys around. I mean, guys, these are big league guys. And here's the other aspect. AJ Preller went out and got a bunch of shortstops and said they're a bunch of athletes. They can play whatever position. Well, here we go. It proves the point.
Again, Merrill's the one that you would trust the most, just given Jake Cronenworth, again, hasn't actually played it in a longer time up through yesterday. And Jake Cronenworth also actually leads all National League second basemen in errors this year. He has had a tough time recently, which is not normally the case, but given how error prone he's been, you can't really put him at short every day. Fernando Tatis Jr., we know, has had all sorts of throwing problems whenever he was at shortstop. If they were to move someone, Jackson Merrill is the most logical candidate, as crazy as it sounds. But again, I think the Padres need to at least explore the possibility, just given that he has already shown an unbelievable and incredible ability to adapt rapidly to new positions. And again, if he can move to center field, having never played it professionally and play it well in the major leagues, it's not that far-fetched to think he can go back to his natural position and play it well as well. At the end of the day, it's about getting Gavin Sheets, Ryan O'Hearn, and Luis Arias all in the lineup at the same time. This is the way they do it. When you score 10 runs in 3 games against one of the worst pitching staffs in baseball in the Baltimore Orioles, all options have to be on the table. We'll see what they do.
Hey, if his ankle's good, stick him out there in practice the next couple of days. See what happens.
And again, it's just about seeing if his ankle's not good, scrap it.
Yeah.
If it's very, very clear that he's too rusty, it's not going to work, scrap it.
Yeah.
But at least explore it and go from there. All right, Heath, the Padres have an off day, and then they go to Colorado for a 3-game series. We're going to take a quick break and look ahead to their matchup against the Rockies.
FT fam, designer clothes can be expensive, but we want our clothes to look good. We want to feel good. We want them to be affordable. And Kratz, if you tell me that I can wear a t-shirt that looks like it's tailored, but it's not actually tailored, and it just comes that way, then sign me up for True Classic.
Have to. You got to sign up for it because these shirts are soft, they're thin, they're durable, and they're very versatile. You can wear them to the gym. You can wear them out to a nice dinner. Let's get after it because these shirts are the real deal.
They are. Check it out. I've got one of the performance ones. It's a nice blue, fits well. I can go to the gym. I can go out. I can do FT in a shirt like this. FT fam, there's a reason why True Classic has sold over 25 million shirts to more than 5 million customers, and they are racking up over 200,000 5-star reviews. See for yourself with our exclusive link at trueclassic.com/foul to save. That's trueclassic.com/FOUL.
All right, Heath, the Padres are heading to Colorado. They are 5-1 against the Rockies this year. The Rockies are the worst team in baseball. They have been outscored by more than 360 runs over the course of the season. This is once again a series the Padres should win and should win emphatically. That said, you could say the same about their last 2 series against the Twins and the Orioles, and we all know Coors Field, it's a little bit of a house of horrors where 7 and 8 run leads can disappear in an instant. I think it's an interesting time for them to go to Colorado as well because we talk about the starting pitchers having the struggles they've had, failing to complete 5 innings in 8 of their last 9 games. Now they have to go try and do it in Colorado. What are the keys you're going to be watching for, and how would you suggest the pitchers do it? Because you're one of the few pitchers to have had success there.
So here's the thing. Yeah, I know I said control and hitting your spots. Well, here's the other part. People always ask me, where did you like pitching? I said Philly because it was small, because I had to be on my A game all the time. Well, when you're in Colorado, you got to hit your spots. You can't just overpower people. So maybe this is going to be a good thing with the pitching staff. Like, hey, hit your spots, don't overthrow, do that. They can kind of get back into sync. It's going to be hard to pitch in Colorado. Most guys, it's hard to pitch there. But maybe let's just, take a step back and let's just not overdo things. Keep the ball down, hit your spots. And that's really what I'm going to look for. The pitching staff, we're easy to go, hey, want the starter to go 5+ innings. That's all I need. But how do you get to 5? Hit your spots. That's all you got to do. Don't forget about them getting base hits, this and that. It's going to happen. Just hit your spots, and they'll be okay. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, the Rockies are interesting just in the sense that, look, this is still a bad team. They are 2-8 in their last 10, so I don't want to say that they've been playing well recently because they haven't been.
They've been playing better than April.
Right. There was a point where, I mean, they had 15 wins in the middle of June, so they have been playing better the last 2.5 months than they have the first 2.5 months. It's still terrible. But again, we all know that going into Coors Field, nothing is guaranteed. And I think from the Padres' perspective, look, this is a very, very important series. There are 3 games back of the Dodgers, and depending on the Dodgers' outcome against the Pirates today, that number will either be 2.5 or 3.5. But the Mets are also only 1 game behind the Padres now for the number 5 spot in the NL wildcard picture. And look, the Padres have a comfortable cushion against the Reds. But as I mentioned on another show, if your starters consistently fail to give you 5 innings, and right now they're not even giving the Padres 4. As I mentioned, they're averaging 3 1/3 innings per start during this stretch. You're not going to win many games. That's how 4, 5, 6 game leads evaporate in 3 weeks. That's how you have stretches where you look up and you go, whoa, we just went 8-17, or we just went 7-18 over 25 games. The starting pitchers have to pick it up. The Padres season, frankly, depends on it, and it has to start now.
Yeah, it's going to be, if you're going to keep, it's like win each inning. It's going to be really interesting for me. I'm going to be paying attention to the first inning and the second inning. If anybody gets on, are they going to struggle again? They're going to overthrow. Are they going to miss spots? So really, it's going to be the first 2 guys they face of the game is going to tell how they're going to pitch the rest of the game, I think. So that's really what I'm going to be watching, especially in Colorado.
Yeah, and again, the offense needs to pick it up as well. We've talked about a lot of their star players have not been performing consistently since August 1st. Tatis and Machado both homered in the finale today. That's a good sign. We'll see if they can get on track, if Luis Arias can be more consistent. Really, they need the entire offense. Jackson Merrill getting going, all that would help. Again, Gavin Sheets has been great. Ramon Laureano.
Still got a feeling they're going to win the division. I'm probably an idiot, but hey, maybe it's gas. I don't know.
And here's the counterpoint, right? We've talked about everything that's wrong with the Padres right now and how they're struggling. But they went from 1 game up in the division to 3 back in the span of about 10 days. So if you can have a 4-game swing in 10 days, you can also have a 4-game swing the other way in 10 days.
Yeah.
So, yes, the season is not over. They're not completely toast. They're not done. But they need their players to step up and perform. And I know it sounds kind of like base level analysis, but at a certain point, you can dive into pitch mixes, you can dive into pitch movements, you can dive into swing planes, you can dive into anything you want to. At the end of the day, guys have to deliver and perform. And that's something that's lacking from the Padres right now, from their key guys, both in the rotation and in the lineup. And that's what needs to change.
And I think the coaching staff will talk to them. They have an off day. They can just kind of reboot, take a step back, and then take 2 steps forward in Colorado. So, it's going to be, it's up to Mike. This is where Mike gets paid. This is where the coaching staff gets paid. Yeah. When the team's not doing well, this is where the coaches have to step up and do something, as in maybe joke around, have fun, be a little bit more serious with things. I don't know. It's up to them.
We'll see if the Padres are able to turn it around, but look, no sugarcoating it. This has been a very, very rough stretch for the Padres. On the field, losing 8 of 10, losing Xander Bogaerts and Jason Adam to injuries, and it hasn't been good, but we'll see if they're able to turn it around, go on the road, get a fresh start, and then they come back home for 7 games against the Reds and the Rockies. So, again, there's lots of opportunities here for the Padres to make up the ground they've lost. Now it's just about going out and doing it. Heath, any final thoughts as we wrap up here?
No, maybe this is the time where the Padres start winning on the road, change some momentum and stuff like that. I got a feeling they're going to get hot. This Cincinnati, Colorado might be the time to do it. So I don't know. I got a funny feeling about them. It's a good feeling.
Your optimism is something I know that is lacking amongst a lot of folks in San Diego right now, but hopefully it comes to fruition. We shall see. Heath, thank you for joining me. As always, we appreciate your expertise and insight.
Thanks. Take care.
All right, everyone. That'll do it for another edition of Friar Territory here on the Foul Territory Network. Go ahead and give us a review. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, whatever platform you're watching and listening on. We would love to hear from you. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Give us a 5-star review. It helps us out big time. We're continuing to grow. We want to keep that momentum moving forward, and we can only do it with your support and your help. For Heath Bell, I'm Kyle Glaser. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll be back on Friday.